Hey guys, JHoyt here. Before this video gets started, I just want to say thank you guys for all the support across the channel recently. The amount of views and subscribers we have gotten is absolutely insane, so I can't thank you guys enough for that. But as always, we have another banger episode here on a Detroit franchise mode. Let's make a couple trades. What's going on, guys? JHoyt back with you. Today, welcome back to episode number 6 of our franchise mode with the Detroit Red Wings, hoping we eventually can make it to the playoffs and eventually win the Stanley Cup. So we are at the end of the preseason. We actually had a pretty good start, 5-2. Some players pretty straightforward as far as performances go, but we did get a trade offer that I thought was pretty interesting, but we're going to add on to it. So obviously it's not on your screen, so let me go set it up for you guys and show you guys what it is. So our first and only trade, totally lied about the two, but it's totally fine, is on your screen now. So let's just bring you back, flashback to off camera here. So Joshua Ho-Sang started the preseason off, not really doing too great. He ended up getting 2 points in the last game he played in. Granlund eventually was a fourth line center for us. And then neither of those guys are really, fitting into the team, especially with some guys actually performing pretty well. So we're decided to trade both of those guys for some help that we need on the back end, on the defensive side. We're going over to Colorado and getting Connor Timmins, who is an 83 overall, signed for 3 more years, top 4 right defenseman. Now, Josh, we already have 2 really good right defensemen. Well, they don't really fit our coaches and our play style well. So Timmins does. He fits all 3 defensive pairings that you can't see because it's behind the camera, but he does fit all of our defensive pairings. So he'll be a good addition. Obviously, he's still young. He's still signed for a couple more years, and obviously it helps out on the back end. So also in this trade, we're going to get Tyler Bozak, great penalty killer, fourth line guy, a little bit more defensive minded than Granlund is. And we'll get him. So it also helps out with their salary situation because they have no salary on their side. So we're helping out in that aspect. So in favor of us doing a good deed, we're going to try to get a 2nd round pick and a 3rd round pick from this upcoming draft. And hopefully that will be equal. Hope it is, and it is. First time we'll get these guys. So we're getting help on the back end. We're helping out our PK, which was an issue last year. And overall, we get some draft picks that might lead to a bigger signing down the road. So following that trade, after looking at our roster, we don't actually have anyone that would fit our style of play good at all without swapping around a bunch of different lines and switching a lot of players around in the lineup. So we're going to end up making a trade in this one. It gets rid of one of our AHL players that hasn't really shown us much and hasn't really improved much in the last couple of years. And we're going to trade them away for 2 of our, I think it's 8 3rd round draft picks from this year in exchange over to the New York Rangers for Julien Gauthier or whatever the heck you pronounce it, and a 4th round draft pick from the next year. And he will fit into our roster. So it's technically an 83 overall for an 82 overall, but of course, High Rose has a little bit less trade value on him personally. So that's why we have to get the draft picks involved. So let's see if this one goes through, and it doesn't. So let's take away the draft pick. 2/3 should get it done. But I guess maybe let's add in another one because we got definitely enough here under our belt here. Let's throw in the Washington one. I mean, we got plenty to deal with. 3 3rd round picks end up being what we want. Let's go put them in the lineup and show you guys a new team. So here is our roster post trades and post preseason. So our first line looks a little bit different than last year. Mantha shifts over from right wing to left wing. Larkin keeps his spot there. And welcome up to the NHL, Lucas Raymond, our draft pick. He performed really well during the preseason and definitely earned his way up to that top line. Our second line, Philip Zadina stays there. Bergeron fits into that second line center role. As you guys remember, we got him during free agency. Toffoli stays in his his spot on that second line right wing. And with Raymond moving up into the top 6 forwards, Tyler Bertuzzi ends up moving down. Rasmussen keeps his spot on the third line center. And then, of course, brand new Julien Gauthier, whatever the heck his name is. I'm going to say it wrong every single time. But he fits in on that third line. Our brand new fourth line of Calvert, Bozak, and Hartman. Those guys will all obviously be on that fourth line probably all year long. But those guys, more defensive-minded, not really going to put up much points, but they'll be down there to support the rest of the cast. Over on the defensive side, brand new to the team, Hampus Lindholm. Could not think of his first name in the last video, by the way. Hampus, though. He fits in on that first line left defenseman. Then we got Philip Hronek, so the battle of these guys will be there, I guess. But Hronek there. Murray slides down to the second line role, along with Moritz Seider. On the second line, Cholowitzki drops down to the third line, along with brand new Connor Timmins. And on the goaltender side, no question here, Jordan Binghamton, of course, is going to be our starter. And then backup Jimmy Howard. I don't know why he's a 73 overall, by the way, because he was an 80 or an 81 to start out the year. So hopefully he doesn't play like a 73. Hopefully his overall goes back up. And then, of course, in the AHL, 2 guys to look out for, Joe Veleno and Evgeny Svechnikov are down there. So if they start performing better than some of our guys up there, of course they're always an option to call up. But then over on the defensive side in the AHL, we got a couple of guys down here that are worth noting. Libor Hayek is down here along with Trent Mann, obviously our first ever draft pick. So those guys are down there if we need them. And then a couple other guys as well. Jared McIsaac, he will be down there as well, a draft pick from before we started the franchise mode. And, of course, Madison Bowie's down here as well, again, if we need him. And then goaltenders, no one really interested in there, so I won't even bother showing you. But this is the roster going forward. Hopefully these guys will perform as well as they will. And hopefully we can make the playoffs because we're in a good spot. We got some good players. We've upgraded our team a ton, and I think it's now time. What was it, year 3, I think, year 4 now? So we need to make the playoffs, right? We need to get closer than we have in the last couple of years. So without further ado, let's get in the first half of the season. So now that the rosters and the lines are all set, it's time, of course, to begin the year. Starting off at home against Toronto. But let's go down the season here. Where's the All-Star break? I guess it's December break, not the All-Star break. But well, actually, we probably should. We should do not what we're doing. Let's go month by month. Make sure our team is actually performing. My control just freaked out a little bit. It's totally fine. We'll go in between the Winnipeg and Nashville game as we start out 1-1. So that's the average start, of course. So we're looking for wins. We're looking for wins early, and of course we want to get as many wins as we can. So that way, end goal playoffs this year. We need to, because our team can't be losing when we're doing this much effort trying to make this team work again. So this is a good start. 10 games in after the Winnipeg game, it'll be 11, 7-3 so far. We lose it. So 7-4 start, not too bad. Let's go one more month before we think about making any changes. Won't even look at the stats right now. But we got a lot of games upcoming here. We're going on the road for a good bit there. So let's hope our team can hold up here. Hopefully our team is performing as well as they can. Back-to-back, actually 3 wins in a row there. 4 wins in a row here. Let's keep it going, boys. Nashville and Edmonton, can we get wins there too? No, Nashville we lose, but we regain in Edmonton. Perfect. What are we going to say now, though? 13-6. We're still going. Montreal, pair of wins there against Carolina as well. It seems to be like we're rebounding pretty quick after losses, except for the start of the month where we lost twice in a row. But we rebounded after that with 4 straight wins there. So 16-8 start. That's not too shabby when you look at our team, especially given our history. So where do we sit in our standings? So we sit 32 points, 24 games played. So we still have a couple of games in hand on the guys that are top of the division and only 5 points. So we can make that back easily with a couple of wins. But of course, team leader in points. Did anyone really question this one? Dylan Larkin. So here we are though. Team stats, let's check them out. Who's performing, who's not performing. Let's sort it by the forwards. Dylan Larkin, of course, we knew he was up there. Mantha in his new role on the left wing, still doing the same thing. Bergeron fits in perfectly there. Raymond, more than a point per game. We love to see that. Then, of course, Bertuzzi, although down in the third line, is still performing. He's actually performing better than Toffoli, who's somehow that much minus, along with Zadina there as well. Rasmussen, 0.5 points per game, so not really too worried about that one. And Gauthier, still don't know how to pronounce it, but he is struggling down there. So might have to switch up lines just to get him going. But overall, not too concerned just yet. But over on the defensive side, though, Hronek leading the way on that. Not by much, though, because Timmins is right behind him. Lindholm's there as well. Murray, kind of surprising that he's that far minus and doing that worse. Maybe we'll have to swap Timmins up to that second line. Maybe that'll help out Murray, because -7 isn't completely horrible, but still not the greatest. Binnington, of course, leading the way, 13-6. Jimmy Howard, did he catch up? He did. Okay, cool. So don't know why I went down to 73 overall, but whatever. So he's holding his own as the backup, which is all we can really ask for him. Obviously, Binnington's going to be that, the breadwinner, getting most of the games in. Let's see where we can go from here. So after swapping Bertuzzi and Zadina and putting Timmins on the second line, we're back in action here. End of December, start of January. We're going to go up to February 7th. A little confusing here, but let's hope we can catch up to one of those top two teams. And then we'll get to the midpoint of the year, which is exactly where we want to be, because that way we can kind of figure out what's the future of this team for this year. Are we going to try to make a playoff run? Are we going to try to, trade some of our assets away and try to get draft picks to get a high draft pick, or try to get some assets to a team? That's where we need to figure it out halfway through the season, which of course will be, end of this episode, start of next episode. We'll figure all of that fun stuff out. But it's a crucial time of the year, the middle part, or I guess early to middle part, that is. So we get a lot of losses this month, which is not good. So our regular season losses caught up to us a ton, which is not good. But we do end with a couple of wins here. We got about 3 more games to end off this one. Win versus Vegas, loss versus Florida, and the last game is a win versus St. Louis. So where do we sit right now in the league? So when you take a look at the Eastern Conference standings, we currently sit 5th overall. We currently sit in a wild card spot, 41 games through the year. We have a couple in hand on some of the other teams that are above us, but we currently sit 23, 16, and 2. Kind of, okay. Obviously, that last month was not the greatest for us. We got a lot of losses, a lot of regular time losses, which is not the greatest. So let's go to the entire league, see where we stack up, see what we can improve on. And, obviously going into the next episode, we need to figure out if we want to go for a playoff push, or if we want to not tank, but, trade away some of the assets, try to get some draft picks or some different assets on the squad. So where do we sit overall in the league here? So we sit 10th, so that's a nice easy number to remember. So goals for 141 doesn't seem like a lot, and it's definitely not a lot. We're definitely at the bottom. I'd say probably bottom 10. I don't feel like actually scrolling through it, but definitely not good enough for that one. But goals against, I didn't actually see what we were, but where are we? We got to be towards the bottom, because we just gave up a ton of goals in that last one. So we sit at 137, so our goal differential is only 4, which is not good at all. We are sucking there. So 38, we sit towards the top. Looks to be in the top half of the league. Power play percentage, though, we're not there. I didn't even see what we were. Not in the bottom, so we must be in the middle if we're not in the top or the bottom. Where are we? We sit with a 23.6%. That's not atrocious. Obviously, you want to be above 20. That's kind of the goal. But, their top is 31. So that's pretty solid. So penalty kill, where do we sit here? So we're not in the top or the bottom. So once again, we're in the middle. What do we sit at, though? There we are. Detroit. So we sit at 77%. So obviously we want to be above 80 is the typical number you want to guess for, or shoot for, I should say. So we need to possibly go after some better penalty killers, maybe swap up some of the lines. All depends on what we want to go for. So let's go figure out where our team is here with our home and away records. and that way we can kind of see if we're struggling in certain areas or not. Damn, Toronto's doing really well. All right, number 10 overall, though. So we sit 12-7-2 at home, 11-9 away. Last 10, not the greatest, 4-5-1. So kind of average overall, which kind of sums up our season. You know, we sit kind of middle of the pack on kind of everything, but it does look good for us. You know, outcome for this year. Like I said, we currently sit in a playoff spot, in a wild card spot, which is still a playoff spot. And when you look at the teams we got to beat, Lightning are struggling right now. Panthers are struggling, 41 points. So unless we seriously go to crap right now, then we should make the playoffs. I think we are going to go for that playoff run. And in next episode, we'll see if we need to make any moves, try to, you know, get out of this little slump that we're in, and hopefully help out the areas that need to be helped. So let's take a look at our personal team stats with all of our players. Larkin and Bergeron, of course, our top 2 centers, our top 2 players. And of course, they're at the top 2 in points. Lucas Raymond, frying. He's absolutely doing amazing up there on that top line, more than a point per game. Then you have Mantha to wrap up our point per game players here. And of course, he's obviously on that top line. So he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do. After the swap, Bertuzzi jumps up. He's close to being point per game, but just isn't yet. Toffoli, a little bit under what I'd like him to do. I'd like to be up in that mid-30s mark, you know, with that Bertuzzi numbers up in that 35-ish range. But you know what? We'll have to see what we can do to help him out. Rasmussen, 4 points since last time we checked, going minus. Not sure what to do to help him. Hartman's still down there. Calvert's still down there. Bozak's still down there. And Gauthier still struggling. Don't know why, but hopefully we can throw in some more lines, potentially help him out, which hopefully in the end will help out the rest of our team. Timmins, though, takes over in points, not by much, though, only 1 point to Hronek. Lindholm's down there as well. Then Seidert, Murray, and Cholowski are all couple minus. I guess Timmins is -1, but you know what? We'll take it. You know, nothing too bad that needs to be fixed immediately. Obviously, I'd like all my players to be in the plus minus, you know, stat. But you know what? Not too bad so far. We might have to put Timmins on the power play as well because Lindholm is not cutting it. We do have him there, so not exactly sure why. But Jordan Binnington, though, 19, 12, and 2. Jimmy Howard still holding his own as the backup, 4-4 in 8 games. I like to be a little bit better than that, obviously, but you know what? We'll take that. Binnington still obviously our starter, still holding down the fort in his own right. But after checking all the stats, pretty straightforward. A couple of guys struggling, but overall, nothing that we need to fix immediately, right? No players that are super underperforming. Obviously, I'd like Gauthier to be a little bit better than what he's doing now, but we might have to just swap up some lines, put him in, you know, some more roles, and put him on some of the extra lines, and maybe it'll help him. Maybe it'll help him dig out of the slump that he's in. But our team is in a playoff spot, like I said before, in a wild card spot. 48 points right now, only 3 points away from the next spot up, and then of course just a few more points will keep making us climb that ladder. But I think we're going to go for the playoffs this year since we are in a really good spot, barring any kind of collapse between now and the trade deadline. We will be picking up some assets for the team. But if you did enjoy this video, make sure to hit that like button down below. Leave all your thoughts and comments and suggestions down in that comment section. And if you haven't yet, or if you're brand new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below on your way out. And as always, guys, we'll see you in the next one. In the shadows.